Right, okay, so should be us live. Like I say, it's going to take a wee second to come through on actual YouTube, and I like to just kind of talk a load of shit until that happens because I know that often when I'm watching lives, it kind of, here we go. Yeah, so the video cuts in like partway through what somebody's saying, so I'm always like, how much does it cut off? But
Yeah.
anyway, that's us live now. So I'll say a quick hello to everyone who's in the chat. Um, so we've got Zane from Tarot Token Witchery. We've got Jen from Jen's Science to Soul Tarot and Transformation. We've got Diane from Wood Thrush Cottage. We've got lovely Ishi. We have got Robin from Toadstool Tarot. We've got Kristen Louise. Hi, Kristen. How are you? And that's everyone that I can see in the chat. So it's lovely to see you all here. Thank you very much for being here. So you'll see that I've got a special guest here today, who is the lovely Sue. So Sue, do you want to introduce yourself and maybe just briefly tell everyone a bit about yourself?
Yep, sure, thank you. So I'm Sue C on YouTube. I don't have a channel, all I have is me. So I've been in chats and things and I try to talk to people there. I'm also Sue Henley on Facebook. So you might see me talking under that name over there. Yeah, so in terms of me and tarot, I've had tarot cards since I was a teenager, and I've gone in and out with it. I learned to use them purely intuitively for 10 years. So didn't do any training, any book learning, nothing, just me and the cards. And then I sort of came back to them again when I just had my son, when I was 30 years old. And I took traditional tarot classes at that point. So, and then I sort of drifted away yet again, moved to Canada from the UK and started a business, which sort of took up all my time. And then I literally came back to tarot at the beginning of COVID, like so many other people, and went on YouTube and did some searching because I was using YouTube a lot more, and suddenly there was a tarot community. So yeah, so I've just been catching up with everybody since.
That's pretty cool. So what kind of tarot systems do you like to use? What's your kind of ideal?
I have a real desire to learn Thoth really well, but I'm really bad at it. So for the time being, I use RWS mainly. I really like using playing cards. At the moment, I'm just playing again. I'm trying to learn them. I've also got Lenormand cards, and Oracle comes in and out, but it doesn't sort of stay around for long. So I'm one of these people who, like, when I don't use layouts particularly, I literally just turn cards. I go back to that intuitive style that I learned with, which is turning cards, getting messages, talking. And when I started to do that, I used to get a lot of mediumship messages coming through at the same time. And I find that if you are using layouts, that can be stifled a little bit. So yeah, so just RWS mainly, I would say.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, dokes. So do you want to tell us what your question is that we're going to be looking at today?
Yep, sure. Let me read it so I remember how I put it to you.
No worries.
So my question is around the sale of my house. And a little bit of background, so you know why I'm asking this question, and it's just not a straightforward, are you going to sell or not? I've been trying to sell for 3 years. I've done all the standard stuff, so I've done all the renovation I can afford to do. I've adjusted the price, etc. And I've had a few lowball offers, like seriously lowball offers, and nothing more. I know the market isn't great right now, but other houses in my area are selling. So I'm starting to think there's more to it than me just not being able to sell my house, that there's a reason for it or some other action that I've got to take. So my question is, what is holding up the sale of the house, and what can I do to change things?
Okay, cool. think we can have a look at that. I moved into this house at the start of last year, so coming up for 2 years now. So it's been a while since I've done the whole. I suppose, to be fair, I was renting before, so I've never actually had to sell a house. So I'm not going to have that background, just like kind of basic knowledge. So it'll be interesting to see what the cards throw out. And obviously, like the people in the chat are going to be a great help here, especially if there's anyone who kind of knows. So your house is in Canada, yeah. So especially if there's anyone that knows, what it's like there. If there's any nuances, anything particular to where you are. Brilliant. Okay.
Sorry, I've actually flipped a few houses. So not in Canada, in the UK. So I've put all of my knowledge into trying to get rid of this place, and I'm just stuck. So.
Right. Okay. Don't worry, Robin. The card cam will be coming on. Robin thinks I've forgotten the card cam. Do you know what I have forgotten though? I've forgotten to plug the charger into my phone. So. So I'll do that just now, and that way it doesn't run out of charge partway through. So that would be a disaster. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the card cam now. So I'll add this to stream. I will do this. I want to do. Okay. So we've got the card cam now. What I've kind of Sue had let me know what our question was kind of in advance. So I've pre-selected a spread. Now I've selected a spread from the Illuminating the Prophecy, which is the guidebook that goes with the Raven's Prophecy Tarot. Now this is quite similar to the Celtic Cross spread. I don't know how well you can see it here. It's kind of similar, but it's a bit different as well. And I think like kind of the position kind of meanings are quite good for the question that you're asking. So we don't really need to worry too much about this just now. I'll take us through what each position means as we go through it. But one thing that I'm going to do though, because we're talking about the sale of a house and stuff, 3 and 4 cards, 3 and 4, the kind of 2 up the top here that you can see, is normally unconscious and conscious.
Okay.
I thought it might be a bit more helpful to look at internal factors and external factors from a point of view of what is holding up the sale of this house. So it would be helpful to look at if there's anything that you're bringing to the situation that's helping or isn't helping, and I think it would be helpful to look at external factors, things from the outside. Obviously COVID's going to be a massive example of that, but let's see what the cards say, kind of thing. So that's the spread that we're going to use. Still a 10 card spread, quite similar to the Celtic Cross, like I say, but just thought it'd be nice to kind of change it up a wee bit and just try something a wee bit different. What I'll do first of all, I'm going to pull a wee soul card, and this isn't with a spread position in mind or anything like that. It'll be the same as when we did it a month ago with Justin. I'm just going to pull the soul card, and we'll all kind of brainstorm, what that soul card could mean to Sue's situation. So I think we've got the chats kind of been going in the background. So let me just quickly.
Yeah, I realised I didn't say hello to anyone. So hi, everybody.
That's okay. So we had Hen, we had Kristen, Ishi. Right, then we've got Mendy. Hi, Mendy. We have got. I think we had Diane already. Jen from Jen's Balanced Tarot, who's sneaking in to listen while she's gone back to work. Hi Jen, thank you. We've got Selke. Hi there, Selke. How are you, lovely? Naomi. And we have got, I'm sure somebody mentioned Justin. Justin, yep, Justin Michael. Hello, everyone. I think that brings us up to date. So hi everyone, hope everyone's doing okay, and I hope we're all ready to get our tarot on. Right, okay, so let's say, like I say, we'll pull a wee soul card. We'll talk about what we see in the soul card whilst I'm shuffling the tarot cards. So let me just make sure I've got it the right way up. That would be helpful. Okay. So let me I'll hold it closer to the camera first, just so as we can have a kind of a look at it, preferably without glare. I think that's the way it's meant to go. Yeah, that is. It's interesting. You've kind of, it's almost as if it's separated into two parts. We've got this kind of leafy divide here. On the top, we appear to have like kind of these hands that are up in the air. I'm saying leafy divide. It's a tree. It's just a tree with a very kind of vertical leafage. And underneath, you've got, you know, this appears to be a person that's kind of holding another person type thing. So yeah, that's an interesting one. So you're obviously you're kind of included in this, so I'm interested in kind of getting you talking and I'm interested in what you see in the cards that I'm pulling as well.
Okay.
So for everyone in the chat, if you start kind of brainstorming and telling us what, you know, is there something particular that you see in this card that's specific to Sue's situation, or just let me know your thoughts in general. Sue, is there anything that kind of springs to mind for you when you look at that?
I probably relate to there's the it looks like a woman's shape sleeping underneath or lying underneath that protection, and I think subconsciously there's a little bit of that going on, that this house is that protection for me. And even though it's costing me far too much money, which is why I want to get rid of it, also a roof over my head, and it's you know, it's there for me. It's security. So yeah, that's sort of what the thing that jumped out at me. But I'm interested in all these dark forms over me, over the top. Those sort of the shadow forms.
Above, yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like a load of hands in there, so it does. It looks like a load of people that have got their hand up. You know, like in school, when you put your hand up to speak, that's kind of what it looks like. It kind of looks like loads of people have got their hand in there. So it's interesting, the contrast between the top and the bottom, because you've got all this stuff going on outside, if you want to call it that, but then underneath the shelter, you've got this kind of, you know, it's almost this kind of, I don't know if I want to say peaceful and calm, because, you know, although it does look kind of restful, for me, it just looks as though she's got a lot on her mind. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
So yeah. So Kristen says the small person hiding under the tree, reaching for the head, staring into the canopy. Her focus is on self and protection. Hands seeking and grabbing for something higher. Okay. Diane's asking, whereabouts in Canada are you?
I'm in Alberta. So about halfway up the province, just to the west of Edmonton, if you know it.
The only thing, see, for me personally, when I look at this card, the only thing that kind of springs to mind, the figures on the bottom don't appear really to be aware of the, not chaos, but of whatever's going on up the top. Do you know what I mean? There's two very different pictures that I'm seeing there. There's lots happening up the top, whereas on the bottom, this one seems to be more concerned with something else, to notice what's happening, you know, externally. So, and obviously we want to try and keep this. We don't want to start getting too personal, you know, like I don't want to make you uncomfortable, so we don't want to start like kind of delving too deep kind of thing, but it's maybe just something to think about, like aside from selling your house, if there is anything else that's been maybe kind of taking your attention or you're grabbing your focus, it might be that it's distracting you from potentials that you may well, potential to sell, or maybe not even just like you've got hundreds of sellers at your door that you're not noticing, but there's maybe kind of aspects to the problem that you're not really seeing because your focus is somewhere else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that could be the case. I think that, to be honest, I've never felt so connected to a house and not wanting to be. You know when you watch those paranormal TV shows and they walk across the threshold and they say, "I have to be here and I can't leave." You're like saying to them, "No, get out of the house. go find a new house. You don't have to stay." That's a bit how I feel, but I don't feel like I'm forced to stay here, and I definitely want to move on.
Yeah.
There's definitely that feeling that there's something else going on here, and I'm just not aware of it.
Okay. Ishi's asking, is it the house that you're sat in? It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, Ishi, it is. We've got Els popped in. She says she never got the notification. Don't worry, El, you've not missed any taroting, so don't worry too much. We're just about to start laying down some tarot cards.
I must be the only one who doesn't have soul cards, and I really like that one. I should look at them.
They are so it comes right now. It comes in 2 different decks, so it does back kind of combine them and work with them as one deck. But I've got quite big hands, so I can do that. Whereas it would potentially be quite difficult to, for some people to deal with all of them. But you could always just get one of them and see what you think. They're both 60 card decks, so they are. But yeah, some of them are absolutely out of this world. Like when I do my meditation thingies on Sundays, I've kind of taken to pulling a soul card and kind of just using that to focus on. It's just something nice to kind of look at.
Yeah.
Right, Diane says, I was born in Edmonton. I'm seeing the dark representing winter, and the figures below are flower bulbs that lie dormant over the winter. Perhaps the house will sell in spring. Could be. I mean, the time of year. But one of the things that Sue had said is that she's been trying to sell the house for 3 years, is it, Sue?
Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah.
And each time I say, in the spring it will sell. I've had 3 different realtors as well. So I'm not just trying to do this on my own. I've had 3 different realtors.
Yeah. Lovely Jilly's here as well. Hi, Jilly. From Littles in Crone. I'm just kind of scanning to see if there's any kind of comments on Elsie's. I'm not really much a fan of the artwork, but after hearing someone's experience with them, I really want to have a go with them. What to do, guys, when we're going through the spread, if you're if you're giving us your interpretations, if you're reading the cards for us, maybe tag me in it, or if you can use capitals, just so that it pops out, and I don't have to kind of scroll every comment to find them, because I don't want to miss anyone's comments. Okay, so we're looking to see what the issue is with selling the house, and we're looking to see if there's any advice on something that we can maybe do to get it sold. So Robin says, I can't really make out what's going on in the blue/grey area at the bottom of the card. So I'll hold this up to the camera, Robin, and let you see it again before I move on. So you've kind of get the tree trunk, and then you've got this person who's kind of crouched at the base of the tree, and she's kind of holding out her hand, and there's this kind of almost ethereal head, like it may well be kind of meant to be a manifestation of her or someone else. It might be that she's got someone else on her mind, but there's something, popping up. So that's the soul card. Now I'll move this. I'll pop that up there just now and keep that out of the way. So the first card that we're going to pull is just going to represent kind of the current situation. Okay, and we've got the Five of Wands. So I mean, I suppose that's quite fitting. I know that it's been a fair bit of a struggle for you. You know, you feel as though you're fighting to get rid of this house. So the Five of Fire definitely is a kind of fitting card. What are your thoughts? Does it feel like a kind of, you know, a bit of a, as though you're fighting a battle?
Yeah, it feels like I'm fighting a battle. But the other thing that jumps into mind there is that I've had so many ideas about what I could do with this house, or things I could, the businesses I could start here, the improvements I could make, all of those things. But from a practical point of view, that's just not going to happen now. So that's what jumped to mind for me. But yeah, definitely a battle.
Okay. Okay. So see it better now. See, I need to remember that there's a bit of a lag. So Kristen says different parts of yourself are battling with different ideas, which I think is what you said there. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I don't only see like kind of battles and fighting with the Five of Wands. It's also a competition card. Sometimes competition can be healthy, but sometimes it can just be an absolute. It can be a hindrance. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing with selling a house. You're always, you know, you're dealing with a kind of housing market. Do you know what I mean? You're always going to be up against sellers and buyers. You know, you're having the struggle with, you know, potential buyers looking at other houses as well. You know, yeah, it's just a bit of a, you know, it's a difficult situation to be in. It's a challenging situation, and I suppose as well the other thing is, and maybe you're actually a bit better off as far as this is concerned, because you have flipped houses before. But like for me, buying a house or selling a house, it's a bit like buying a new car. It's something that I don't do very often. You know, you maybe do it once every how many years? Do you know what I mean? Especially selling a house. Some people are in their houses for, gosh, tens of years. So it's not something that you do all the time to a point where you build up this competency. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of those things that's always going to feel like you're starting from scratch again when you start to do it, and you're almost like you're having to kind of teach yourself again. So it can be a bit of a struggle from that point of view as well. I'm just kind of quickly looking to see if there's any more comments on the card before I pull the next one. The next one is kind of it lets us think about the kind of challenges around about you. Do you know what I mean? Right, Seven of Wands. These cards are shuffled, by the way. Yeah, they're definitely shuffled. So it's interesting that we've got two fire cards. So that the fire for me is about purpose. For me, you know, fire is about finding, you know, your purpose in life. If you're dealing with a fire situation, it's not just something that's going on, you know, in the background that you're not really thinking about. It's something that's really taking your attention, and it's taking all of your energy to deal with. So the fact that we've got two fire cards to represent the situation and the challenges, it kind of, to me, speaks a bit to, you know, how much of a struggle this is. And you know, that can obviously take its toll. Do you know what I mean? It can be a real kind of struggle for you. This is another one that makes us think of, you know, the odds being stacked against you. You know, we kind of associate the Seven of Wands with, albeit someone has the high ground and appears to be doing pretty well for themselves, but they do have all of these people kind of wanting to fight against them. They all want what that person has. And that person is kind of, you know, they're kind of fighting to kind of stand their ground. As she says, has Sue been able to familiarise herself with the properties on the market in the area? What's selling, what isn't selling? and what are people looking for in the area?
Yeah, I've done plenty of that. I've The one thing that stands out. I'm on an acreage. For those not in Canada, the way it works here is you have lots of townhomes and city homes, but there's also a massive rural market, and you either live on a subdivision, which is like an estate that has lots of houses within it, but big. They're all on like 2, 3, 4, 5 acres, and then you have the house, and you might have 10 or 20 of them in a group. I'm out of subdivision, which is supposed to be like sought after. I'm on an acre which is cut out of a big farm. And one of the things that some people are saying is if people are moving to the country, what they want is more than an acre. They want like at least 5 acres. Some people want 10 acres, 15 acres, because they're going to have animals and that sort of thing. So the realtors that I've spoken to, a lot of them have said that's what people are looking for right now. They're not looking for the small acreages. So that's one of the things that I've learned about the market. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone, Mendy says her daughter's just came in and says that sounds like Shrek. Can I say hi? I take it that's referring to my accent. As long as she doesn't think that I look like Shrek, I don't take any offence, Mendy. Jen's asking why you want to sell the house.
I don't need it. It was just me and my son here. My son's moved out. He's 21. He's now living with his girlfriend. So I'm living in this 4-bedroom house. It's just me. So that's a complete waste. You know, this house should belong to a family, I think.
Right, okay. So Regan's been obsessed with Shrek since she was little. What was the last question in the card? So do you mean what was the second card position issue? It was kind of a like immediate influences around about you. Let me actually check the book. So the first one was the self, you know, the basically your current situation, your current mental situation, or current defining, and then crossed by, so some sort of complicating factor. So we've basically got lots of fire there, lots of kind of competition, and lots of struggle, lots of battle. Hopefully some of the we're going to pull some more peaceful cards as the kind of reading goes on, but definitely starting out from with lots of fire. Okay, so the next one, this is where I've kind of altered the position meaning. So it's lagging. Hopefully my internet's okay. I've been having problems with that through the week. So we're going to look at some internal and an external. So in other words, we'll look at, is there anything maybe that you can bring to the situation, or anything that you're bringing that could maybe be different, and then we'll look at like kind of what's happening externally. Okay, so we've got justice coming up for the internal. So this is like supposed to make you think about something that you're doing or could be doing or maybe shouldn't be doing, that might help the situation. So, I mean, for me, justice, and I know that you've just said, you know, you've taken, you've had, is it realtors you called them? You've used professionals?
Yeah, but estate agents, effectively,
Yeah, because justice always makes me think of the kind of bigger system. The thing about like the justice system, and to me the justice system is just an example of a system this card talks about, but it's like it's basically like it's like a set of like kind of, you know, it's like axioms or rules or something that everybody has to adhere to. So it makes you think of like kind of the kind of professional system, and that's why I always think like, is there maybe like kind of professional help that you could be bringing into the situation? Are you maybe trying to do something that you would be better placed getting someone else to do, like a solicitor or some sort of expert, do you think?
Well, At the moment, I'm just advertising it myself because, as I said, I've been through three realtors and got absolutely nowhere. And there are I have potential issues with one of those realtors, and it's sort of like made me a bit gun shy of going down that road with someone else. And to be honest, the advice I was getting wasn't, well, they weren't giving me advice. If there was an offer coming in, it was like, do you want to take it? And I'm like, well, what do you think? Do you think I should take it? What's the market doing, etc.? And it was like, well, it's up to you. And all three of them were like that. And I don't know what I'm paying them to do, because they weren't advertising the property. They were just like taking it on, listing it somewhere, and that's all they were doing. So I got very frustrated with going through the traditional system. And so I thought, well, you know, I can sell it. I'm just going to put it on Marketplace and put it in Kijiji, and I'm gonna get this place sold myself. But that's not working either. So maybe I should go back and try and find another realtor.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, are realtors, are they kind of rated and stuff? Like, can you know how, like, when you're looking at different places, you can rate them and stuff now. Like, even on Facebook and social media and stuff, everything's rated and everything's got like reviews and stuff.
Yeah, the first realtor I went through was recommended. The third one was recommended. The second one I just pulled out of a book because I got so, you know, I just didn't see that the recommendations were real to what I was seeing in front of me. The experience that they were supposed to have just wasn't in front of me. So,
okay. So let me just see. We've got Kristen says, makes me think of immovable situations that one needs to face. Is there anything else? That seems to really reflect this and reflect in the soul card, hands reaching out for more space, more acreage. So, sorry, Robin, can you tell me what card it is that you're referring to there? Because I'm conscious that I'm coming back to what you've said. We've got, oh, hi Jackie Jaranda's here, sneaking in at the back. She says, "Don't you worry." Mendy says, so realtors aren't supposed to give advice on making decisions. You're paying them to advertise and negotiate for you, but they're only supposed to do what you tell them to do. So they're taking instructions from you, essentially. And we've got Kristen says, my realtor did something smart, showed us an ugly house first so that we snatched ours up. Right, okay. Someone talking about a snowblower. I don't think that's well, I think that's him talking about her life she did the other day with her family. Robin says she said buyers wanted more space than her property offered. I see in the soul card that you originally pulled with the hands of the buyers above reaching out for more space. Right, okay, so you were commenting on the soul card based on what Sue was saying, right? Sorry. Okay, dokes. So with that, with what Mendy was saying about how realtors aren't supposed to give advice on making decisions. I mean, I work in personal injury law, so I do. So like, I know that solicitors don't make the decisions, but I mean the idea behind it is you're not an expert; they're the experts. They know the field that we're in. Do you know what I mean? In my situation, they're the experts on personal injury law. In your situation, the realtors or solicitors or whoever it is, the lawyers, they know the house selling system. So although they can't tell you this is what, that this is the decision that you should make, they can kind of like give you the pros and cons of, whatever the options are. And just, let's say, and they can maybe say, like, if it was me in your position, these are the kind of things I would be thinking, and this is what I would maybe be doing, but really it's down to you. I agree with that. Ultimately, it is down to you. They've got to take your instructions. But I think that by the sounds of it, you're not getting the advice that you need and that you should be getting. Is just my impression.
And I'm not even getting the advertising. That a lot of realtors in this area now just say, right, we're putting it on social media, and so which makes sense, because not many people read a newspaper anymore to see the ads in the newspaper. And then they wouldn't do it. You'd never see it, or it would come once on their Facebook page and then that would be it. So things like that. And in terms of asking them for advice, I had, for example, one offer that was so lowballed. It was like ridiculously lowballed. And he had to give me the offer. So he sat me down and he said, this is the offer. And I said to him, what do you think about that? And he said, I can't say. And I'm saying, well, does that make sense for the area? Oh, we'll have to look at some listings for that. It was just like everything he said was really obstructive, and there was no advice about, well, we can go back with a better offer. And later on, I got another offer that was a little better than that, but with a different realtor. And they said, well, I suggest you go back with an offer about this amount. But this first guy was just like, up to you, hands up. It was like, I don't care. You just tell me what to do. And I'm not going to give someone like, I can't even remember how much the percentage was, but a ridiculous percentage of the cost of the house to tell me he doesn't know what to tell me. Yeah.
So I think Mendy's come back and said, in Canada and the US, realtors have certain ethical constraints on providing advice. Their license is significantly different than a legal license. But yes, they should make suggestions about what her options are.
Yeah.
I wonder if there is so that's a realtor. Is there see, this is where some knowledge on my part of the system that we're talking about would have helped. But is there someone else who you can bring in who has, who would be better placed to kind of give you the advice that you feel that you need and that you're looking for? Do you think?
I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't know where to start to look for that though.
Yeah. Okay. It sounds like the first guy wasn't doing his job. Okay, so we're at least we seem to be agreed on that. So hope, I suppose the hope is that if you were to kind of try someone else, someone who was kind of had good ratings, good reviews and stuff, then you at least shouldn't have a repeat. It's not just that's the way the process works. It sounds like he's just not doing his job, which I suppose was shit at the time, but it's good for you now because it means that you're not just going to have a repeat process every time you use one. So that's internal. External is something, things around about you that are happening that might be affecting the situation. Oh God, we've got another Wands cards. So we've got the 9 of Wands this time. Okay. Because it's interesting because you said that you're on an acre, you're on this kind of old farmland, and it kind of looks like, if you look at the kind of land behind her in the picture, I'll hold it up a bit closer to the camera, but it does kind of look like she's kind of at the fence with a farm behind her, and she's kind of guarding
yeah.
Doesn't it? It kind of looks like 9 of Wands, really defensive energy, isn't it? You kind of associate it with someone who's kind of battle worn and has almost get sorry, do you mind me swearing, by the way? I should probably the 9 of Wands almost has no fucks left to give. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like she's got to that point where she's like, I'm sick and tired. You know, it's the same thing over and over again. So I guess my question is there maybe something like, do you think there's maybe some sort of defensive or what I want to say is there's something that's guarding your property, and is there something that's stopping it from being sold? Do you know what I mean? And normally that energy is that kind of that defensive energy. And although this is an external card, my first kind of instinct is to think, are you that defensive energy because of what because you've been through 3 years of this?
I think there's probably an element of that. Yeah, to be sure. I tend to, if I get queries now on Facebook or whatever, I'm like, well, are you serious? You know,
Yeah.
you can't bring your kids because of COVID. And this, you know, I find I'm not making excuses for them not to come, but I want to know they're serious and they're not going to waste my time before they get here. So there is that element, but there's without going too far down the woo-woo path, I feel that there is something else going on here. That's my gut feel, my intuition. I think this land, there is something about this land, and for some reason, I'm not being let go. That's which takes us down a completely different path, I know, with the reading. But that's how I feel, and that's over the last. And I've only felt this way for about the last 6 months after trying. I didn't set out feeling this way, but for the last 6 months, that's how I feel things have gone. There's something that is holding me here that I need to resolve, and whether that is something psychological or whether it's something more paranormal, I don't know.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So that would be interesting for people to dig into, I think, because it's a little bit different than where you would go with a normal reading, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see what people are saying. So, Kristen says social media tend to be for a younger target audience. People who want to people who want smaller land, want simpler lives, maybe older.
But this is rural Alberta. They also want a bargain. If it's an older couple coming into this sort of home, they want it. They want it for nothing. There's that frugal pioneer spirit is here. So.
Right. Okay. Gosh, it sounds like it almost sounded like you were over here in Scotland there. They say that.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, if you drove a little bit northwest from here, you'd be hitting Scottish territory in terms of the countryside.
Right. Okay. There's an old joke about how copper wire was invented by two Scotsmen fighting over a penny. Right, Mendy says, my suggestion would be to go with someone who has a history of selling the same types of property. If you have some property, I didn't catch how much. You want someone who knows how to attract buyers. This is completely not about the cards, just my own advice from managing realtors and working in real estate law.
Yeah, my third realtor was exactly that woman. I got her through word of mouth. She sold rural properties. She knew the market. She told me all the right things. And then when we actually started to sell it, all she kept saying to me was, "Oh, I'm not managing to get anyone through the door, am I?" And I was like, "No, and you're supposed to know how to sell this place." Yeah. And it just failed. Yeah. I ended up letting go after over a year.
When was that? So
the last that was the middle of last summer.
Right. Okay. So that's before COVID or anything like that. Yeah. So we've got. So I saw Justin saying the woo-woo path is so much fun though. Kristen says the Nine of Wands to me means you're still standing. You're still standing in spite of the trials, but there's still a fence in front of you. She's still standing, but can't move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's this kind of idea of this barrier in front of you that's stopping you from doing what you want to do. Jen says, so you said the house should belong to a family. Do you feel you don't deserve to stay in the house that you love, if that makes sense?
I had great plans for the house that I can't put into practice. So I'd say that there's that element that is holding me back a little bit. But I have to be practical and move on. But do I love the house? No.
No.
I've been more attached to other houses that I've owned. And I did have family here. My son grew up here for a good many years. So I've had that. And he's moved on now. So,
Yeah.
I want to go where he is rather than be stuck here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Whereabouts is your son?
He's in Edmonton. So he's in the city.
Oh, right, okay. Did I just say this? As far as the cards go, I'm seeing Sue is feeling this connection to the property and fighting with that connection, Five of Wands, and guarding the property, the Nine of Wands. Jen's agreeing with that. I see the Justice as Sue trying to discern what feels practical versus what feels right in her heart. Kristen says if the Nine of Wands is external, that could be someone else. Looking past the Justice card, which is Sue, the other person is not paying attention to what she is weighing.
What I'm weighing?
Weighing.
Oh,
so and the
God.
yeah, the scales, yeah. Right, okay. Hi Neem, how are you? Okay, dokes. So the next four cards is where we kind of start to get some advice on how to move forward. So hopefully this is where, if we can kind of brainstorm the kind of ideas that we get out of this, this is where we, this is where the help is going to come in. Now the first two cards talk about what you think is going to help and hinder. And then the two cards after that is what will help and what will hinder the situation. Okay. So the first card, so what do you currently think is going to help the situation? And you've got the Magician. So you feel like you've got to use the tools that are already at your disposal, I guess. The thing about the Magician is they've already got the sword, the pentacle, the wand, and the cup on their table. They've got everything that they need there. And they're almost an expert at using all of those things. So and like obviously, but that's not that's not the depiction here. But in this kind of energy that the Magician's kind of whooshing down, you've got the symbols for the four elements. So I guess what I would see in that card is you feel as though that you've got to use the tools that are already at your disposal. There's not really any intention to bring something else into the situation right now. So it'll be interesting to kind of when we go down and see what other cards we get. But what do you think about the Magician in that position?
It's like there's two things that jump out at me. One, I agree with you because I don't know what else to do. So I'm like, well, this is all I have. I have realtors, I have Facebook, I have different forms of trying to sell it. But what, I have the paint I've put on the walls and all that sort of stuff. But what else can I do? So there is that element. The other thing is that going back to the woo, I'm not a magical practitioner at all. I never have been. But I've been thinking about it because I'm like, if I can shift this house by figuring out how to do some spell or something, I'm actually thinking that this is the only time I've ever thought this way. And this is making me think that way. So, if other people are picking up on the Magician, the literal sort of like the possibility of the magician rather than the tool element of the magician, then maybe it's something I should try.
Yeah. John T says we tend to have a survey done in the UK. Only surveyors are obliged by law to give accurate valuations. Estate agents are just give pricing advice. This applies. If this applies in your country, have a survey done. Do you have like housing surveys done?
There's a survey done before you buy. So basically, the realtor tells you the market price, and they do that by comparing with comparables. And then they give you a price range, and you pick what you want to aim for. And then when someone comes in and gives you an offer, the first thing they do is get a survey done.
Right, okay. So I think here we have a home report. I seem to remember there being a home report, and I had access to that like as soon as I basically messaged the guy and said I was interested in the property. He sent me the home report, and I was able to kind of look down and see how many ones and twos and stuff there were, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think we don't have a home report. We have something similar, which basically says the house has been built and hasn't contravened any laws, and everything is on the land, is where it should be, and is approved. So we have that we have to get done beforehand, but it's not looking at the state of the property, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Jen's asking, do you have a clear vision of what you want when you move closer to your son?
I have a clear vision. I'm not sure if he shares it.
You were bumping with him for a while?
Well, he's with his girlfriend now, and they are in a townhouse, which is a terraced house from a UK perspective. And a lot of the houses have finished basements. And so I sort of said to him, wouldn't it be great if I could go in the basement, you could have your space, and you can live in the house, but I have my separate basement with my separate entrance and all the rest of it. And he's like, that could be nice. That may be nice. We'll have to think about it.
Right, okay. Perhaps you're still in the energy of what you wanted to manifest in the current house, Jen says.
Yeah, I see that I could. I still get very frustrated when I think about, well, if I just had a bit more money, I could have done this, you know, and it could have been so much nicer, and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, I do think I'm still a little caught up in that. I agree.
Okay. The next card that I'll pull is what you think will hinder the situation. So this one was what you think will help. The next one, what you think will hinder. Okay. So Two of Wands. Now, Two of Wands is one where different people have different interpretations of it. So I'm interested in seeing how whether the comments start to diverge now. For me, the Two of Wands is very much about planning. I use this phrase with it. It's building your portal. The Two of Wands being your portal. It's kind of like building your doorway. Two of Wands, there's not a lot of physical action for me that happens in it. How many wands are coming up in this reading, by the way? Can I just say?
I'm the one that was stalked by the King of Wands all year, so.
Two of Wands is a planning card. Do you know what I mean? It's where, you know, she's got her globe, she's got some sort of picture or mind map here. She's looking out the window. She's basically planning the journey ahead of her. So the two is where you plan the journey. The three for me is when you start taking the first steps. It's when you start actually making things real. So basically what that's saying to me is the last thing that you want to be doing right now, and the last thing that you think is going to help, is to kind of go back and start looking at the logistics of it again and start planning. You want to get this done. You want to take actions. You want someone to tell you, look, these are the actions that you need to take, and then you go and do them. It's not, you know, which again, after 3 years, I get it. Do you know what I mean? You don't really want to be going back and looking at mind maps and like kind of doing any extensive amount of planning right now. That's what you see hindering the situation. It's you very much seem to be a woman of action right now. So that's what I see there. So I'm interested in what you see in that position.
I think exactly the same as you. I can actually see myself like 18 months ago when I was still hopeful of being the traditional two of wands with the globe looking out like, oh, this is where I'm going to go next, and this is what I'm planning to do. And now I'm like, you know, there's no point in planning. I've been planning and planning, and I've had to stop planning, or or go backwards rather than forwards. So what's the point of doing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But thinking about what Jen said, maybe that's exactly what I do need to do. Have a really clear focus, a really clear view. Yeah.
Yeah. So not so much about anything in the current circumstance, but maybe having a clear view and having a clear path for what happens afterwards might just make the now a wee bit easier. But what was I going to say there? Do you know, something just popped into my head, just given the amount of wands cards that are coming up, and wands is obviously associated with the element of fire. Now, usually when we start talking about that, we start thinking, right, what does fire mean? Fire means our purpose, it means our passion, it means, all of that kind of thing. But just out of interest, literally, fire, I'm talking like, has there ever been any fires at the property? Is it prone to be, is it possible that there's some sort of fire hazard or anything like that, like that's...
I thought about setting fire to it.
What, sorry?
I said I've thought about setting fire to
it. So you're the fire hazard then, is what we're saying?
No, not seriously. I don't think there's any fire hazard. One thing, I know what used to be on this property. It used to be a school. So in Pioneer, there used to be a school here, and that used to belong to the local authority, and that was leveled when they built this house. But I don't know what leveled it. I mean, it could be that they just knocked it down, or a fire could have come through. It would have only been an old timber schoolhouse. So sort of going in historical terms, there could have been a fire here, but I haven't heard of that.
It's certainly not something that's likely to be affecting people's decisions now, essentially. Let's have a wee look and see, just catch up on some of the comments. So, came to mind for the Justice card. Procrastination. Naomi said procrastination. I think that was maybe when the Magician came up. Or maybe it was the Two of Wands, actually. Mendy's agreeing. I see it as so Kristen says, I see it as planning. It's very internal. The mind is churning. Spending too much time planning, says Mendy. If the second card is the 7, 23 wands. So I share you counting the wands that we've got. So we've got 12, 31, 33. No, 21, 23. Yeah, 23 altogether. Thank you. 23 wands altogether, actually, yeah. Are you... What's that? Is that just... Were you kind of off the back of what I was saying about the kind of fire thing? Jen says, I also think letting go of the ideal of your son and putting the focus solely on yourself and what you want. So Jen's maybe brainstorming whether there's maybe a bit of a your forward planning is maybe being more focused around your son, and maybe just like, is that maybe pulling the focus from you planning what you actually
I had ideas different to the ideas that I have now. I'll say it like that. So I'm now having to rethink things. So yeah, I can see that I definitely stopped thinking about what's best for me.
Okay. Kristen, no, sorry. So Jen says fire, perhaps needing to burn all that you want to release. Mandy, that's a good point, Jen. The feeling of something keeping you tied to the property might be the lack of clarity of what comes next. And then Kristen said, could the card mean she is planning for the wrong thing? You've got it in your head. Sorry, I keep saying she, so I do. I've just got this. I can hear like my mum and every teacher I've ever had saying, "Is she the cat's mother?" So that seems to be a common expression.
Yeah.
So you've got it in your head. One idea isn't for your highest good. Justin's loving how in depth that is. It's like a live reading on steroids.
I knew this would be a meaty subject, so
yeah. So as she's saying, yeah, you commented on the number of wands, Chris. I tallied them up. There's 23, which reduces to 5. I'm formulating something, waiting for the next few cards. Right, okay. Jonathan's here. Hi, Jonathan. Says, with so many wands popping up, is Sue listening to your inner desires? Is she stoking her inner fire and drive, or does it need more attention? So I think that's kind of been it's been a bit of a theme of the last few cards, hasn't it? Mm. Okay, right. Let's move on to the next one. Sorry. So just quickly, V Kestro's saying, perhaps 2 of Wands indicating that Sue isn't sure where she is going. Is this the block? I think that's pretty much what we've been saying. So then,
who was that?
That was V Kestrel.
Oh, V Kestrel. Do you mean physically where I'm going, or like emotionally or mentally, or I'm just not sure. I'm not sure about that, because I've had a lot of those feelings in this house, like from an emotional point of view, where am I going, and career point of view, where am I going? So from a Wands perspective, there's a lot of career questions that I've had that are related to passion as opposed to money. But I don't know why they would keep me to this house, because this house is going to prevent me doing any of those things. So.
Naomi's picking up on the fact that each of the cards, it's a singular, and well, actually, I suppose apart from the 5, which is covered up, but there's lots of kind of people, like singular people, and she's asking about whether there's any support around about you that you can pull on to help. So I suppose this kind of takes it outside the realm of, the experts or experts in very big inverted commas. But like, have you got family, or have you got anyone round about you who?
No. Okay. So just my son is here. That's it. And he's in 21-year-old dreamland with girlfriend and planning the future, which I'm really happy about. Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy for him. If only I was back
there. We've got V's just said here, by the way, kudos to Sue for sharing this with us all.
No worries.
Okay. So the next card is supposed to like give us an idea as to what will actually help. Okay, so this is like kind of the card's advice as to what comes next. Oh, right. Okay, we've got the 5 of Pentacles. So right away, when the 5 of Pentacles comes up, what always kind of strikes me about this is you can see someone who's obviously appears to be in quite in despair. Pentacles we quite often associate with, things that we as people can really relate to. Do you know what I mean? Like material things. Do you know what I mean? Our health, our finances, our house. The
Mhm.
5 is obviously there's difficulties. Do you know what I mean? But in the corner of this card, there's a key. So someone has been shut out. They're feeling on their own. They're feeling quite distressed, and they're going through a difficult time. But in the corner of the card, the key is there. So the option is there to open that door. It's just about, I suppose, being in the right state of mind to actually look up, see the key, and be brave enough to use it to kind of put it into that door and open that door up. So I suppose that, that's very helpful, isn't it? Well, it's there, the answer's there. You're just not seeing it. Well, we know that, but we want to know what the answer is.
Yeah.
But what do you think when you look at that card?
I want to be on the other side of the door locking it for the last time with that key.
Yeah.
I mean, from a physical, the location of the house, it's not too far away from the nearest town, but it is quite remote. So there is that element of being cut off,
Right. Okay.
which is another reason why I want to move to the city so that I'm not in this situation. So there might be that there, but I'm not sure what action.
Yeah, what advice it kind of brings up. Let's see what people in the chat say. So Jen says, so perhaps a subconscious fear that when you move, you'll need to take that scary step of following your passion. So I think we might still be talking about um, the previous cards. John says, I thought fire with all those wands, insurance claim, don't do it. Next tarot reading from Chris live from jail.
Yeah, I'll say he made me do it.
Don't do that because insurance claims is my job. So that's all I need. So that was John. Then Mendy says, but my tarot reader told me to do it. Naomi looked like something came to mind then, Sue. She says, a 5 and a connection to a church. Is there a strong church community nearby?
There's many church communities around here, and that's not a path I'm going to go down.
Okay. I find it interesting that the 5 of Pentacles came immediately after the question came up about support and help from others. Yeah, that's right. Because we were just talking about Naomi's comment about how. So I wonder if there is, like, you don't need to answer this, but is there potentially options open to you to kind of reach out for help that you're maybe just not, you don't feel as though you're in a place where you want to reach out for that help right now?
I don't think so. I've got a fairly limited scope of people. I mean, I work, I see people, I have friends, etc. But there's no organization, there's no professional organization I think that I could not even know about, so, let alone approaching them and saying help.
Yeah.
What are you guys for? That's what I'm here for.
Kristen says, are you willing to take significantly lower payment in order to move on or to take a loss? So I suppose that's something else that, the very basic meaning of the 5 of Pentacles is, loss of finance. Is that an option that's open to you, or is that, is that going to stop you from being able to kind of go on and do what you want to do?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's obviously money in property, but if I sell at a loss, that money's not going to be there. So it's not going to be anything that I can move on with. So I've long since lost the desire to try and get more money than I paid for it. So in terms of taking a loss, yeah, there's absolutely no equity in the property anymore in terms of, if I could sell it at a profit. So yeah, I'm in that mindset, but at the same time, there's always limits to that.
Of course.
You can't just walk away and dig yourself into a bigger hole.
Yeah. Okay. Naomi then said, or do you need the best price to start your dream? Actually, I was thinking that advertising within these church communities might help you find an older couple that would like what the property has to offer. So not necessarily going and, get yourself a set of rosary beads and start saying 10 Hail Marys every day, but if you kind of almost look at it as a tool, something that you can benefit from type thing.
Yeah, to be honest, I've not ever been involved in religion, ever. The only time I go into church is for weddings. I haven't even been to a christening, so weddings, and I wouldn't even know how to approach doing that. Like at the moment as well, COVID, none of them are open. We're in lockdown, by the way. We've just started the lockdown here, so, yeah, I wouldn't know how to go about knocking on a church door and saying, "How do I get to your parishioners?"
Yeah, I think my understanding is that most churches will have like a notice board. I don't know whether you need to be a member of the parish, or you need to be a parishioner to be able to put something up on the notice board. It might be an idea just to kind of look at some of the phone them up, look online, or get a phone number and phone the whoever's involved and say that this is what I'm wanting to do. Is this something that you're happy to let me do? Like,
yeah, that's true.
Mean, it's worth a go, I guess. We've got, and then she says networking. V says emotionally. Kay Thompson says, "Hey Chris and Sue, how are you both?
Hi Kay.
Glad I could make it here, even though I am late. Don't worry about that, Kate. It's lovely to see you here." We've got Mendy says, "If nothing else, bury a St. Joseph in your yard. I know people who swear by it who aren't even Catholic." So, tell me, Mendy, what is St. Joseph the patron saint of? Like, I should know that because I was raised Catholic. I know that St. Christopher is the patron saint of travel, but that's about all I know. As she says, "I'm not into churches either, and it's only the institution to tap."
Yeah, I will look into it. I'll talk to a few people as well. I do know a few people who are involved in church community, so I will take that on board and talk to them.
Yeah.
What is Saint Joseph? What does that mean?
St. Joseph's. So I think it's like, Mendy, can you enlighten us? So what is St. Joseph the patron saint of? I have no idea, but it's a long time practice to bury a St. Joseph in your yard facing away from your house. Let's Google it. Let's look it up. So
encourages the sale.
Yeah, apparently. Here we go. Bury a St. Joseph to sell your house. So burying a St. Joseph statue. German ritual of carpenters burying a statue of their patron St. Joseph can help in a real estate deal. So it looks as though you get a statue of St. Joseph, bury it in your yard, and it's supposed to kind of help in some way. And I imagine that St. Joseph must be the patron saint of houses or real estate or selling things or selling houses or something like that. But yeah. Oh, of course he has. Joseph was Jesus' father, but I don't know why he's considered the saint to bury to sell a house. They claim he was a carpenter, he was a mason, but that's why, says Kristen. Michael Justin says there are multiple St. Josephs. Mendy says they sell specific statues with instructions just for this purpose.
Oh,
right. Well, do you know what? It's not going to do any harm. So,
really, like I'm into the woo right now. I'll go down on the avenue that I need to.
I'm sure you can get an Amazon delivery before 10 o'clock, St. Joseph's statue to bury in your house. Right. Next card is what will hinder. Oh, we'll get the King of Wands.
Surprise!
He's been stalking you. Sorry, my keyboard's getting a bit gallus. Right. Okay. Interesting. So, for me, the only thing that springs to mind is a hindrance. The King of Wands has got this kind of fluctuation between action and non-action. Do you know what I mean? Now, quite often that works to his advantage because he's proficient at, ruling his kingdom, sitting on his throne, looking at the bigger picture, seeing everything that's happening. But when shit needs to get done, when his hands need to get dirty, he's just as good at like kind of. He's always sitting on the edge of his throne, so he's always ready to get in there, get his hands dirty, and just do what needs to be done. He's maybe got a bit of an attitude of if you want something done right, you've got to do it yourself. And that might be, given what we were kind of talking about earlier on, maybe that's kind of what the card is a nod to. Maybe there's a bit of a, if you want something, if I want it done right, I'm going to have to do it myself. So it's kind of like going back to the kind of reaching out for help and looking into what help is available to you. In the market and the system. So what are your thoughts? Because you said he's been stalking you, so I'm interested.
Yeah, he's been kicking my butt for a long time, just telling me to get going, to stop procrastinating, to stop planning and doing and taking that first step and all of those things. And so by saying, right, I'm going to sell this place myself, I'm going to do that, I'm going to paint the walls myself, I'm going to do these things, I feel like I've been embodying him in that aspect of him anyway. I wasn't aware that there was like another side to him, so that's interesting. Maybe I should be doing less of one side and more of the other side.
I think it depends on how you associate the elements with the quartz. For me, the kings are all associated to air, and the wands are obviously associated to fire. So you've got air and fire together. So you've got fire, but it's, the air is controlling it, So you've still got the fire, you've still got the action, the I was going to say va boom. Come on, surely I can think of a better word than that. But you know what I mean? You've still got that oomph to kind of get up and go. But you've got the air to kind of calm the situation. It's not like, for me, the night is the fire of fire. Nights are fire. So that's like really kind of that's when fire has the danger to go out of control. And that's why sometimes Knight of Wand personalities, Knight of Wand energy can be really kind of, using all this energy and not really going anywhere. Yeah. But some people read the kings as fire. So this is where definitions where interpretations might differ. Let's see what. Okay, somebody says, so Mendy says they do sell them on Amazon, so we're talking about the St. Joseph.
Let's get to that afterwards, so I'm going to get one of those.
Don't you have to make sure it's in a specific corner and buried upside down, says Jonathan. So he's asking whether it needs to be in a kind of certain position and orientation and whatnot. Kristen says it's a Catholic superstition where you bury them upside down. Justin, fathers, head of the households. Yeah, we've kind of passed that. They claim, yep. Resale, yeah, I think we covered that as well. And my chat just jumped. Left side are all looking down, and the right side are looking outwards. Left side are all looking down, and the right side are looking out. You're absolutely right. And the right side are all wands, and we've got wands over here. So that's interesting. So that was Naomi that noticed that. Aquarius Owl says more fire. Jonathan, I was just noticing that the left side's looking down, the right side looks left, right, and then forwards. Cautiously looking around. And the people on the right are all holding wands in a defensive way with their right hands, says Jonathan. King of Wands, the entrepreneur. Religion could also lead to a person who could help shift woo-woo type energies. Wands and smudging. Yeah, so people are really picking up on like where people are looking, and so what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm just noticing now that that's been pointed out, I can see it, but nobody's looking to the right. So, no, nobody's looking to the, oh, I'm confused because I'm looking at it backwards. Everyone's looking to the past.
Right, okay.
To the future. So we've got that challenge from the, I can't see where he's,
this one.
Yeah.
So this one's looking out the window, I think.
Okay, so she doesn't seem too fired up though, does she? She's like, I'm just going to.
I know.
It's almost like there needs to be another row of cards on the other side to see where
what they're looking at.
Cards. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
Like past the present, and then we go to the future and hope some of those are looking in the right direction.
Yeah. So we've got two other cards, so we're going to see exactly what she's looking at because the two other cards go side by side here.
Okay.
So the next card that we're going to pull is like kind of immediate influences, things that are kind of going to start to come into play kind of in the near future, I believe. And then I think the last one is like a kind of distant future outcome card. So the path, the next step in the immediate future is the next card. And then the last one is the outcome.
Okay.
So we'll get the Knight of Pentacles as the next step in the immediate future. So we've got all this fire energy happening in the reading so far. And don't get me wrong, Knights are fire as well. But of all the Knights, the Knight of Pentacles is the most reserved. He's the slowest, you know, the most kind of calm and really kind of thinks about absolutely everything that he does before he does it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's almost this kind of slowing down of the process, but you've still got the fire there. You've still got the fire and the Knight card. So it's almost like a kind of less is more, but like kind of slower is faster. Do you know what I'm getting at? Like, yeah. What's everyone else seeing? What do you think, Sue? What do you see in that night?
So, sort of like a pause, but to keep my eye on the goal type of thing, maybe.
Yeah. It's interesting because the reading is very action based. I'm getting the sense that everything that's happening right now, it's all about actions. What actions can I take? And what we said in this card is the last thing that you really want to do is you want to be is to stop and start having to plan and not be actually taking steps, you know, to actually reach your goal. Whereas, like you say, it's almost like not quite come to a stop, but like slow down so you get time to see what's ahead.
Yeah. The only thing that concerns me with that card is that he's walking away and he's shedding all those pentacles behind him. It's like his resources are running out. And that's exactly my situation.
Yeah, right enough.
I don't sell this thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, but then is he shedding them, or are they right where they need to be? Because your resources, the last thing you want to do, and from a financial point of view, is have all of your resources at hand. You know, the most sensible thing to do in terms of like finance, resources, and that kind of thing is to, you know, if you had like a big wad of money and you were to go to a financial advisor and say, right, what's the best thing I can do? The last thing you want to do is just have it all sitting in the bank at your fingertips. You want to have some of it at your fingertips. You want to have some of it in long-term investments. You want to have some of it in short-term investments. You want to vary the risk and all that kind of thing. So to me, that is what this knight is doing. He's got, so you can see some of them appear to be buried in the ground. Some of them are just kind of sitting and waiting for him to kind of pick them up when he needs them. I do see like kind of visually where you're coming from, but just the fact that it's the Knight of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles knows what he's doing when it comes to that area. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't do anything without knowing exact, or well, can anyone really ever know anything? But he has done every risk assessment under the sun. He has a list. He's got lists of pros and cons coming out his backside. So he has for every single move that he makes. He looks at everything like a game of chess. So I don't think the Knight of Pentacles is the type to just be shedding money left, right, and centre. Do you know what I mean? If he's doing that, there's method to it.
Okay.
Is what I would say.
Yeah.
What's that, sorry?
That's more comforting than my interpretation.
So as she says, 2 of Wands behind the global pandemic and stagnant energies. No movement, as Naomi pointed out. Look at the alignment of those pence and the Knight. Yeah, that's what she had said. Slow movement of land / property is what I see with the Knight of Pentacles, said Mendy. Jackie says, slowly catch the monkey. Is that an expression? I've not heard that before.
Yeah.
In fact, no, I'm not going to go there.
You don't creep up on a monkey fast if you want to catch him. You have
Right, okay, I'm with you.
That's where it comes from anyway. Not that I've ever caught a monkey, so I don't know.
It's going to move, but it's going to be slow and deliberate, says Mendy. Hi Debbie, how are you? From Aquarius Owl. Debbie says, you have to pause whilst you get that Joseph statue in the ground. That's right, we were just talking about burying a Joseph statue, and then you've got this depiction of these things on the ground. Neem says, I see the Knight of Pentacles as consistency and following the King of Wands. Start taking action and be consistent, not rushed, but consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Mendy says, I see him as shedding the weight or burden of the property, but it's not going to be a fast or all at once. There's going to be a gradual movement away from the property. Have you considered renting the property out?
Not seriously.
Right.
I want to be, when I'm gone, I want to be gone. If you're renting, you still have to be responsible for it. And it's that responsibility right now that's weighing me down. So even if I had some renters in here and they were paying the mortgage effectively for me, I've still got to make sure repairs are done. I've got to be, close enough to look after it or engage someone to do that. And I don't see this as a long-term investment. If I was looking at it in that way, I'd say, hell yeah, I'll get renters in, I'll make some money, and I'll move into that basement suite, whether my son wants me to there or not. But yeah, I'm just like, now, just get rid of it. Just, enough's enough.
Yeah. Mendy says, it just came to me that it was also walking away from the property, but it was still following you. So maybe you are still tied to it, but able to move away. Kristen has to go and make dinner now. Well, thanks very much for being here, Kristen. I've really appreciated your your insights and your comments.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's kind of the next steps. The last card is the outcome card, and this is where I'm I'm praying for.
If this is the 4 of Wands, I'm going to be very upset.
If it's what, sorry?
The 4 of Wands, I'm going to be very upset because effectively to me that looks like a house.
Right, it's not the 4 of Wands, but it is a 4. So we've got the 4 of Pentacles.
Okay.
So let's just think about this then. So the 4 of Pentacles, at its very core, at its base, it talks about financial stability. So it does. Which is the end game, is the ultimate goal. It's not the worst outcome in the world, it's not like we've pulled the tower and like shit's going to come crashing down round about you. There is still, though, when you look at her, and I've read Chris Ann's description of this card, the way she describes the image, you've got someone who's quite well off. She's clutching on to what she's got, and she's looking, I don't know how well, it's quite difficult to see. She's looking at the people in the village behind her who are quite poor, and she's clutching so tightly onto what she's got because she's scared to end up like them. And, at its best, that just makes her appreciate what she's got more. But at its worst, it can, that fear of loss, that can cause you to not invest the resources that you've got properly. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like goes back to what I was saying about, if you're given a wad of money, the most sensible thing to do is to invest it and vary the risk. But if you hold too tightly onto that because you're scared to lose it, yeah, you're going to have this money in your bank account, but you're not doing what's sensible for that. Do you know what I mean? You need to take some kind of degree of risk. So that always kind of springs to my mind immediately when I see this card, but I suppose you're potentially looking at more of a kind of shadow interpretation of the card when you put it like that. At its kind of, when we're looking at it as a light seer, because it's a light seer tarot, and we're looking at the positive kind of associations with this card, we're looking at financial stability. You've got what you need. And yeah, so what are your thoughts on seeing that as an outcome card?
I mean, she's looking in the right direction, which is good. I'm not sure, actually. I don't know how to take that.
Okay. So I'm waiting for everyone else's comments to kick in to see what people think. I'm not seeing anything though. I don't know if my chat stopped or if people have gone quiet. But guys, let me know what you think about the 4 of Pentacles as the outcome. I mean, I suppose it's a nice relief from all this fire. Although I have to say, the cards have been fire and earth.
Yeah.
Unless you count the quartz.
There's no swords.
Yeah, there's no swords, there's no Is there any water? There's no water in
No.
this reading at all. So Naomi says the situation may be very slow, but at least it will move. Yeah, I suppose, yeah. So
I
I
don't know
suppose
if you should take it as like she's holding on to the house when she shouldn't be. You know, that notion of selling for less. Maybe that is the right step, just to get rid of it and then to move on to the town, the village, wherever, the city that she wants to be. I don't know, maybe that's, but that doesn't give me stability. So that doesn't, that element of the card in terms of the pentacles, it doesn't fit with that decision.
Okay. So so Naomi says the situation may be very slow, but at least it will move, a bit like lava. Ashi says stability following an alignment. Right, okay. So Ashi's bringing in like kind of the big planetary alignment that I don't know how much you follow kind of astrology and everything that's kind of coming up, but there's supposed to be this alignment. Is it Saturn and Jupiter? Help me out, guys. I think it's Saturn and Jupiter. They align in such a way that the way that it shines in the night sky, it creates this effect that's not happened for 800 years. And there's speculation that, see the star that supposedly the three wise men followed to get to the manger where Jesus was born, that was supposed to be that alignment of Saturn and Jupiter. So it's not happened in 800 years, so since I think 1400, and I don't know if it's maybe only happened once or maybe twice before that, since Jesus was born, supposedly born. So that's supposed to be happening February, March time, I think, says Issue. Yeah, Debbie's saying, yeah, Saturn and Jupiter. So there's supposed to be like big shit happening when this happens, is what people are saying.
So maybe wait until then before I get my Joseph statue and bury him. He was there, wasn't he? You know, in the
That's true. That's very true. Four of Pentacles lady, it looks like she's calm and serenely walking away with a bag of money. Not a bad outcome, says Diane.
Yeah. Maybe I'm looking at it too deep. I should be more of a glass half full person.
We've got, have you been pouring a lot of resources into the property? If so, maybe the spending must stop. Most people come in changing stuff anyway. You want to walk away with profit, not a loss. So that's Neem's comments on the Four of Pentacles.
I've been putting a bit into it just because things need to happen so that it stays standing. But I'm not pouring money into it, no. But what I found here, I keep telling, when the realtors come, I say to them, people want to move in and do their own thing, don't they? No, people want to move into a completely finished house. That's what the mood is in this area, because there's so many finished homes that are going for a song right now because of the economy, that people want brand new and they want to step into brand new or brand new renovated. So yeah, I was always of the opinion you want to move in and do your own thing, but it doesn't seem to be what the market wants to do here.
I think it depends on the type of person.
Yeah.
We certainly, we've not really done much to our place since we moved into it. Partly because, well, maybe we're quite lazy, but also partly because we're saving up for getting married. So our savings, our money's been kind of going into savings for that, and we keep saying, after we get married, then it's all, it'll be all about the house, and I want a big, massive, huge TV the same size as the wall in here. So not in this room, but in the kind of living room that's next to it.
Yeah.
So like as just an example. So I know that I want to do stuff, but I'm certainly the type of person that would want to kind of walk into a flat that's pretty much done. I just need to put my own personal touches on. Whereas I know that some types of people, like for example, my stepmom would have my poor dad. Like she has my dad's like painting walls and all that. My dad's got a day off; he's doing something in the house, So she's kind of got this vision. I think people say you either have that vision when it comes to property or you don't. Like what's the word? It's not real estate. What's the word? Like doing up a property. What do you call the people that design houses, design the house, like the inside? Interior decorator, is that it? Interior designer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've either got that vision, that interior design vision, or you don't. So I imagine it's the people that have the interior design vision, they're the ones that want to come in and rip everything apart and basically put their own stamp on it right from the very start. Whereas if you don't have that vision, you basically want to be able to move into something that's, that's appealing to you as it is, kind of thing. So anyway, that was a whole load of waffle out of me for nothing. So, so let's see. Saturn and Jupiter, yeah, says Debbie. As she says, the Christmas star, 20th. Jupiter and Saturn more in February/March. Neem's got to go. Bye, Neem. Neem, thank you very much for popping in. She says she hopes things pan out great for Sue.
Thank you.
No, actually, I read that wrong. She says, hope things pan out for the great Sue. So I don't know if she's calling you the great Sue. You're very welcome.
I'll adopt that one.
As she says, her coins look like some connection to the chakras. Oh, interesting. Thanks, Tarot. I have some, not all the info. And then it's people saying bye to Neem. Naomi says restoration. Jen says renovating. John says the earring is a rune. Inheritance, I think, in the Four of Pentacles. How do it's your son, how does he feel about the sale?
Oh, he really wants it gone. Yeah. He knows it's a pain, so he wants it gone for me. He's helped me do stuff in the house, so.
Right, okay. Okay. Cool. So, like, before that's all the cards on the table. Now, before we kind of start looking at concluding this, one of the things that you said, Sue, was so we've obviously this has been quite a practical reading. This has been very kind of about the kind of the real world, like kind of real estate, all that kind of stuff. We've really kind of, I feel as though we've kind of looked at that side of things. But one of the things you said was you are wondering whether there's something maybe a bit more spiritual, a bit woo-woo going on. So I'm interested. If we kind of pull the focus to that, is just looking at the reading at large. Does anybody see anything in the cards that are on, on the table in relation to that side of it? Does anybody have any kind of thoughts, views, suggestions based on what we see here? What do you think, Sue? Do you see anything that?
I think from the soul card, I did get that feeling that there's all of these energies coming out of the ground. So there's that element to it. And then that magician, he's right there in the center, in the middle of the reading. And he's one of the only majors. And I just think that there might be that, I can't remember what that position was, but there's that, if you sort of forget about the positions and just look at the layout, he's dead center. And I don't know whether that means I need to bring that sort of energy into the situation, or someone else needs to come into the situation, or there's already somebody in this situation, I'm just not aware of them. But I do going back, I was a practicing medium for a while, and I have closed it all down, and I don't get any vibes from this place at all, but then I've got it closed down, and I don't know whether I should open up again and then sort of look at it from that perspective. I occasionally feel things passing through, but they're not things that I'm going to freak out about. It's just like I observe them, say hi, and they move on, type of thing. So, but the other thing about this place is it's the most rural, countrified place I've been in. There's trees everywhere. I see deer in the garden every day. I see animals all the time. And it's the closest I've ever lived to nature. So there's that other side of spirituality as well. And I've never been particularly drawn to that. So I don't know whether there's that element, those energies around as well, that's sort of just trying to hold me here for some reason. So I've gone down whole rabbit holes trying to think of the reason why I'm still here.
Yeah, to look at what's going on. I mean, see, just as you were talking there, I'm kind of going back to the soul card, because like there really seems like I was saying, like there's this divide. The tree is creating this divide between all of this energy at the top and this kind of tranquility at the bottom. Now you can look at that as calmness, tranquility, peace. You can also look at it and say, well, maybe she's ignoring everything that's going on. You know, maybe that's the barrier that's been put up. Do you know what I mean? It was just when you were saying you used to be a practicing medium and you've kind of closed it down. So that kind of sprung to mind for me there when, you know, that jumped out at me.
Well, one of the things I did in the summer, and I think I even put a picture on Simon's Facebook group, but for the first time ever, I felt drawn to going out into the yard and there's a particular tree, and going out and literally talking to the tree and saying, what the hell's going on? Fix this. Type of thing, and giving I can't remember, I gave it something, some food or something, and lighting a candle for a while. And I've never done anything like that in my life. I'm not a magical person, so I was complete, and I didn't know what I was doing, who I was talking to, or whatever. And then I got a sign. There was a hummingbird. I came and sat on the porch and watched the candle, and a hummingbird came right up to me, and it was the first one I'd seen that year. And so that seemed related, but I didn't know what to do with that. So I had that experience, and I didn't know where to go with it. So I don't know whether it's related to the house or it's a completely separate issue.
Right, okay. It'd be interesting to see whether, you know how we're talking about burying that St. Joseph and where to bury it. So that tree that you went out and saw, is that a significant tree? Is it the biggest tree, or is it one that's particularly caught your eye, one that attracts you the most? Like
it looks like an old knackered old tree, to be honest. It's like it's the one that the squirrels are always running up and down.
Right, okay.
So, and I did, I'd forgotten I did this actually. Last year, I buried a crystal out there, because I'm not into crystals, but I had a few left over from when I used to practice years ago. And I buried them all at the base of the tree, not in an act of frustration or anything like that, but as a gift. I buried them for the tree. So I have done that as well. I'd forgotten all about that. But
what was the crystal? Do you remember?
There was, I think there was some amethyst. I've never really had a vast collection. There was some amethyst, some rose quartz, and some clear quartz, I think.
Right. I've got a wee amethyst crystal here that I got from Simon.
Oh yeah. That's nicer than the one I buried.
Looking at the magician cards as well, just like I don't know why I keep coming back to this thing about burying a St. Joseph, because like it's not the kind of thing that I would do either. Do you know what I mean? It's not. I'm not that kind of the kind of person who's ever done anything. I was going to say I'm not the kind of person who's ever done anything magical, but I mean, what are we doing just now?
Yeah.
But yeah, what I was thinking was the magician. He's looking down and he's putting energy into the ground. Do you know what I mean? He or she, the magician's quite androgynous in this, isn't it? But they're putting. You can see they're kind of putting this energy down into the ground. So that was just something else that popped out at me. Let's see what we've got in the comments here. So Naomi says there are 7 females. That may be helpful. A lot of people would pay good money to enjoy that wooded natural environment. Put it in the listing description, says Diane.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I was going to say I feel really guilty when I'm on Becca's chats, and she's talking about how wonderful the countryside is and how she loves to go for walks and she sees hares and stuff, and I'm like, I can see that just by looking out of my window, and I don't appreciate it. And it's lovely to hear her talking about those things, because it does make me appreciate my surroundings more. Does that mean I want to stay in them? No, but
yeah. I've just saw Mendy's comment, but I'll get to that in a wee second. So John T says, just googled it. Heritage, not inheritance, close new. It was something like that. Just googled it. Heritage, not inheritance, close new.
Was that to do with the earring?
Oh yeah, yeah. Aye, it was, wasn't it? Yeah. So we were looking at the rune. So, sorry, I should have held that up closer. So that's the rune earring that she's wearing.
Okay.
Kay says, Sue, I can understand that. There is a tree near me in a park. And when I'm near it, I feel like I belong to it. Not it belongs to me. I can't explain it. I feel absolute comfort whenever I'm near it. Okay, so just this kind of homely feeling. So I think she'd said that when you were talking about kind of going out and talking to the tree.
Yeah.
Mendy said, this is what made me chuckle. She says, was the crystal's name Sandra? So were you here for that? Do you know that story?
No.
So when I was on Hen's channel, yeah, don't worry, Hen, Sandra's right here. When I was on Hen's channel, I'm not a crystal person, neither am. Like, before I had this live with Hen, every single crystal that I had sat in a box, and like I've still got a fair few of them in there. But Hen asked me, what crystals do you have? And I was like, well, let's get them out and see. So I was just going through them, and I was saying, I mean, I don't even know. I'm not really very good at identifying them. So I was holding them up and saying, right, what is this? What is this? And I held this up, and Jackie said, Sandra. And I was like, Sandra? But she was saying Sandra because the Whispering Well Sandra is really good with crystals. She knows her crystals, so she does. But I was like, right, okay, well, now this is called Sandra. So it's actually onyx, but its name is now Sandra.
Yeah.
And that is why that's why they're asking. Mendy's asking if the crystal was named Sandra.
Maybe
Naomi,
in mine, ones that I have left, maybe I should name them as
well. Naomi said, so may I ask why you stopped practicing, or is that too personal? So I think that's in relation to the mediumship.
To the mediumship, it was, for a start, I had to get practical with life. And I could have carried on. I started to, I was teaching a few different things, and I had a student a mediumship student as well, who I started to teach the very basics with in preparation for her joining a circle. And I just got very disillusioned with people's attitudes. And to be honest, that's why I moved away from doing tarot readings as well, because the people that were coming from me wanted me to decide everything for them, make all the decisions for them. And it got very tiring. And I think I lumped everything in together. So I was giving Reiki treatments and all of this stuff. And nobody seemed to be taking responsibility for themselves. It was all just tell me what to, like I did today, tell me what to do, you know, give me the actions. But I all the time from everybody, from the spirit world as well, from the you know, the physical world. And so I just went, enough, that's it. And it had come back to me a couple of times in my life, and each time I got to that point and said enough. So I don't know whether I will go back to it, whether this is, you know, whether I'm being told, right, the only way you're getting out of this house is you start doing these things again. Maybe that's the message that I should be getting.
It's interesting because the cards are very much like, so we're really kind of dominated here by fire and to a degree by earth as well. Fire seems to be kind of running down in the kind of hindrance positions. Do you know what I mean? We've got it like, what's the environment bringing? What do I think is going to hinder? What is going to hinder? We've got fire, fire, fire. You know, current situation and environmental factors. You know, we've got fire and fire. It seems to be like kind of passion and emotion and kind of, you know that kind of thing where people say, you know, if you want to do something, you kind of need to put a bit of your heart and soul into it.
Mm.
To me, it's like sometimes you can go too far with that. Sometimes you can put too much of your heart and soul into it to a point where, you know, when things don't go as you want them to go, it kind of almost like it takes too much out of you. And sometimes there's just this need to kind of take a step back, kind of like channeling your Knight of Pentacles. Take a step back, slow down, plan everything out, be practical. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And just know that, you know, whatever's meant to happen is going to happen. You're not ending up in the tower, or you know, you're not ending up in an absolutely traumatic situation. The direction things are going in appears to be good. It's maybe just about giving it the time that it needs, waiting for the right time. Now, when you've been trying to do this for 3 years, that's probably the most irritating thing I could say to you. But it's just with this transition from fire into earth, it's just this kind of slowing down and just this taking on a practical approach. Do you know what I mean? Putting emotion out of it, because, like I say, there's no water. There's a lot of passion, there's a lot of fire, which I suppose you can look at as a kind of emotional type thing, but it's the emotion is kind of removed from the situation as we start looking into the kind of the future positions, and we're looking at, you know, it's all about like kind of earth, and that seems to be what is going to be that's what's the stabilizing factor.
Mm. Yeah, I definitely feel like I'm distancing myself from the outcome right now. It's like if it's going to sell, it will sell, and if it's not, it won't. And it's taken me 3 years to get to the point where I'm like level-headed about it. But I don't know whether that's taken me too far in the other way, you know, to the procrastination type of side, to the like sitting on my backside, not doing anything to help side. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, what the Knight would be saying is like, you don't need to put absolutely all of your energy into this. Do you know what I mean? There's value in slowing down and adopting that more logical, practical, and almost like kind of emotionally distanced approach. but just tactically, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like you're playing a game of chess, not speed chess, but just like good old traditional chess. You can take your time, you can relax, do things at your own pace, but every move you make, it's more about the move that you make rather than how quickly you do it, you know?
Right.
Um,
I think tactics is a good word, actually. I relate to that. I haven't really been tactical. I want to sell a house. I'll give it to a realtor to sell, or I'll put an ad in Facebook. I haven't sat back and thought, well, what are the key things I need to do? And then just let it happen. So,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost like making it a tick box exercise, isn't it? It's almost like, right, let's make a list of all the things that I do, and then one by one tick them off and do them.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of drawn back to the justice card there. Your objective isn't to have a tick box for every single aspect of the situation. You're not even supposed to understand every single aspect of the situation, because you trying to do this on your own probably isn't going to get you very far, you know. It's all about knowing what knowing your capabilities and knowing your limitations. So where do you know knowing what you do, what am I trying to say? So knowing how to do what you can do, but knowing how to identify what is best to be outsourced to an expert, to an agent. Do you know what I mean? It's about understanding that, and you know, trying to make it like a kind of tick box exercise, trying to make it like, right, this is the list of things that I need to do, and I'm just going to kind of go through and do them. That's almost trying to kind of logically understand every single aspect and make it fit into a box. And I don't get the sense that that's beneficial to the situation, because sometimes when we try and do that in an area that's not our forte, we have a tendency to oversimplify parts of it. And those simplifications, it's kind of like I did maths at uni, right? I'm a math person, and I'm always telling my students, don't round until the last answer, because sometimes when you round up too soon, yeah, it might make your calculations easier, but the end result that you get is like quite far off, can be quite far removed from the actual.
Right.
Thank you. And from the actual end result. So it's, and it's the same thing kind of applies here. If you're trying to do too much by yourself, you run the risk of oversimplifying certain parts of it. I'm a great believer in nothing should be any more or less simple than it has to be. Do you know what I mean? So we shouldn't be overcomplicating things, but at the same time, we don't oversimplify things, because we lose some of that fine detail. So it takes me back to what I was just saying, like kind of knowing your own capabilities and your own limitations, knowing what parts of the process that you can deal with, but knowing and identifying where you are best placed to kind of outsource to an agent, to an expert.
Yeah.
Let's see what some of the comments are here. So John's just named the amethyst crystal Simon. Okay, so Ashley says, no possibility your son would be interested in moving to this property and flipping the one that he's in.
Nope.
Thanks, Sue. Maybe that's a possibility, says Naomi. I think I've waffled on for too long to know what Naomi's referring to there. Jen says, Sue, perhaps you're holding on too tight to selling the house. Maybe it's time to release the outcome to the universe.
Yeah, I could well believe that. But when you don't have a a spiritual path as such. It's really hard to know who you're releasing it to or how to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, Mendy says try to start thinking of it as a business decision and take the personal desires and emotions out of it. That might that might make it easier to really strategize. She says, I need to run and make dinner too. I wish you the best of luck with this, Sue. Thanks so much for letting us weigh in on the reading. Thank you so much for all your thoughts and insights, Mendy.
Excellent.
Naomi says, I've really enjoyed this and hope you find the perfect outcome to this situation. I need to go to bed now as at work for 7:30. Thanks, Chris, Sue, and all.
Thanks, Naomi.
And Jonathan's going to deal with distance learning. That's fine. I think we're kind of coming to a close now anyway, aren't we?
Driven everyone away.
So yeah, Jonathan's going to kind of do distance learning with his son with Apollo. Kay is going to make supper. Okay. So I suppose that leaves. Was there any other kind of questions that have arisen out of like kind of what's come up in the reading, I guess?
No, I don't think so. I think you've done great. You delved into this really, really deeply, and it's I appreciate it very much. Sometimes it takes just talking things through to actually see where the possibilities are. And I think I've got some really good tips here. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm really, really glad. I'm very much a subscriber to Vincent Battisti's kind of view on how these work. It's it's creative thinking. It's conceptual blending, he calls it. So he basically looks at this as like a mind map. You know, each card, each position in each card is like an idea that's just that spurs your thoughts. That for me, that's what I see as it being at its very base. You know, and without taking into consideration any of the spirituality and stuff. And then if you know, however you see it working on top of that, whether you see it as spirit intervening or whether you see it as someone having psychic powers and using that to kind of divine things, you know, I'm open to all of that. But it's very base. It's kind of, you know, it's a tool that we can use to give us ideas on how to progress. So the fact that if it's giving you some kind of new ideas, then that's you know that's I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for coming on and doing this with me, Sue. You're only the second person to come on and do a roundtable reading with me. I know I can imagine how nerve-wracking it must be. See, I'm not when it comes to getting my cards read, I find it like quite a daunting process, to be honest. And I can only imagine how brave you need to be to come on and do it where what have we got just now, 15, but I think at one point it was like 20 with 20 people. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So thanks so much for doing that.
No, you're welcome. I think because it's this subject and it's been going on for so long and it's nothing that is particularly emotional, you know, I'm trying to get as detached as possible about it. It's actually very, really useful to have everybody's opinions. So it gives you to think about.
Good. That's good. So thanks as well to everyone who's been here. Thanks to everyone in the chat. I think we've both really appreciated like kind of all of your ideas, all of your interpretations, you know, your insights. They've been really helpful, you know, to me as, you know, facilitating this kind of thing, but also to Sue as well. So thank you so much. I really appreciate each and every single one of you.
Knows anyone who wants to buy a house.
Anyone who wants to buy a house in Canada, then give Sue a shout. What was I going to say there? I was just going to say, if anyone else wants to, is feeling equally as brave as Sue is, and if anyone wants to come on and, you know, take part in a roundtable reading anyone wants to come on and be our querent for the evening, then please do get in touch with me. My email address is elementalcartomancy, all one word, so just the channel name, all one word, at gmail.com. So if you fancy giving this a go, then please do get in touch. You know, if you've got Sue or Justin on Facebook, then, you know, give them a shout and say, how did it go? You know, and they'll let you know whether I'm really being an absolute dick to them behind the scenes or anything like that. You know, as soon as we come off live, you know, they'll let you know how they've found it and stuff. But yeah, give me a shout if anyone's interested. But once again, Sue, thank you so much for doing this. I hope that it's been helpful for you. And yeah, I hope that you have an amazing weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Cool. Right, if you stay there just now, Sue, I'm going to end the broadcast. So thank you, everyone. Take care and see you all later.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.